You're listening to Shrodingers Track, aka the Shrod Pod. If this is your first episode, then let me explain the premise to you. In Shrodingers Tracks, we will be seeking out the weirdest album covers we can find from bands we've never heard of to see if you can in fact judge an album by its cover. Pretty simple premise, right? Let's see how it goes. Here we are in a monthly episode of the Shrod Pod. These have been uploaded monthly, so we've been on schedule.
Yeah, we got a big bank of them recorded with the
which was very clever of us, if I do say so myself.
Yeah, although I think we've run out of bank, and I think we may have run out, or we are running low on the pile of albums.
Running low on listeners as well, but we'll build on both of them. If this is your first time listening to the Shrod Pod, then here's the thing. We find an LP, an album from a band we've never heard of, look for a cool cover and go, hey, that's a cool cover. I wonder what they sound like. That's
pretty much it. Yeah. Buying the album unheard, as it were.
Mm-hmm.
So see if we can find some new bands to listen to.
Matt's found a gem for us this month. Real gem. I tell me where you found this.
I think it was on eBay.
On eBay.
Yeah, I think it was one of the ones that sort of sparked off the idea where it was like, what the fuck is this?
Well, Matt, describe it to the people at home who are not watching along with us on YouTube, at tophatsandcanes.com, you can see this. On ShrodPod on Instagram, you can see the picture. But if you don't have either of those, listen to Matt.
Yeah, so Google Concrete Sox. Whoops, sorry.
With an X.
With an X, sorry. Yeah, it's very important. So yeah, the album is... It's just where to start. There's so much going on. So it's two sort of beastly caricatures of Margaret Thatcher and Ronald Reagan.
Spit on the ground.
And and they appear to be feasting on the carcass of a cow with the McDonald's logo tattooed on its head.
Although, it does not look like a cow from a distance, does it? You have to really get up close to it to see that's a cow.
It's
not the right colour or anything.
There's lots of detail there that you've really got to look at it, because, again, sort of that's what it is, just looking at it. But once you start to look at the details, they're feasting on this cow, but they also appear to be fucking on top of the cow.
I didn't notice that.
yeah, if you look, the Thatcher beast's legs are sort of up behind.
So they are, yes. They are fucking on top of a dead cow they are devouring, and there's money there as well.
Yeah, so there's money emanating from orifices. And also, I don't know if you noticed, but sort of on the shoulders of the two beasts, there's the British flag, and on the Thatcher beast, and the American flag on the Reagan beast, but they are in the form of swastikas.
Are they?
So, yep.
So yeah, I see that now.
Yep. And then one thing I only noticed sort of today when I was looking at this is, I don't know if it's an umbilical cord or what, but there is South America just here in the bottom right.
Oh yeah, like a liver or something with bombs dropping into it, or the bombs.
Oh yeah, I didn't notice the guns and the. Yeah, I have no idea.
Some of this about Iran Contra stuff. I like how they've put the swatch stickers on there, but very cleverly not done a full swatch sticker.
Yeah.
So you can tell what it is from the corners, but they've not put all four arrows, whatever you call them. I'm
assuming the arms and the South America are something to do with the supplying of arms to
Iran Contra.
Yeah, to Nicaragua.
I've watched so many documentaries about that, trying to figure out what the fuck was going on there. But anyway, so the album's called Whoops, Sorry Vicar.
Yeah.
So here's my first point about this. Would you not put the vicar on the front?
The vicar's on the back.
Vicar's on the back. What's happening on the back of the album, man?
He's being shot in the head. And he's holding the chicken.
Maybe they couldn't put it on the front because he's got a gun in it, shooting in his head.
I know, but you can just turn it over.
I
mean, what's worse? I mean, you'd expect it's the sex on the front. That's quite bad, rather than the vicar being shot in the head.
Censorship's a weird thing, man. What year did this come out?
87, I think.
87.
Because the LP has got copyright 87 on it, I think.
There's some weird monster designs though, man. I couldn't compare them to anything. The hunched over, gaunt legness of it. It looks like it's some kind of like medieval inspired demon thing.
Yeah, I have.
But then the
really
mouth
haven't
is just
yeah,
you've gone cartoony with it.
really elongated jaws and
Mm.
everything. Yeah, it's bizarre. You can't really get even the vicar's like grinning while being shot in the side of the head,
Yeah.
and he's carrying a chicken that he appears to have slaughtered and possibly killed with a
Is he
shotgun.
holding it in like a religious way?
And he's just holding it by like the tail
Spin it
and the
to us.
legs.
Spin it to us. I think he's doing like one of the Mary poses, isn't he? Is he?
Really?
You hold that up there with her. I don't know enough about Catholicism to know what's going on there. So why are the grouse shooting in the back of him though? Like
I don't know because he's holding his chicken
Yeah.
as well. Unless that's maybe a play on, because obviously the beasts are fucking on top of the corpse of McDonald's, which I assume is some sort of metaphor for. But to be fair, they're enabling the corporations to do all this stuff rather than sort of milking them. I don't know. I really don't know. There's lots of...
And then the priest has got some kind of like animal in his bag with a tail as well.
Yeah, it looks like some sort of fox.
Oh, it's got like black tail. I don't know, but it's the color.
I don't know if it's just because it's dark, possibly.
There's a lot of concepts for one cover.
Yeah, made in England, so I'll assume they're British. I think they're from Bristol. I think just because Manic Ears Records is from Bristol. And then one thing I do like: pay no more than $4.99.
You've got that written on the back of it, which
Yeah.
is pretty punk rock. So I appreciate that.
That might be as well, and you won't like this. They do thank Metallica on the back, and the first Metallica release with Jason Newsted was the $5.99 Garage Days Revisited EP, and that was meant to be like you only sell this for $5.98
Oh, okay.
because it was
Didn't know
like
that.
an introduction for new fans to Jason Newsted,
Yeah.
or old fans. Oh yeah,
And they've said, well, we'll do ours for cheaper, Metallica.
I'd have to check the exchange rates from the time. I'm not 100% sure. I think it should be.
So the
Might be bad
band
to say.
then, Concrete Sox, the font makes it look like it's going to be a hardcore band. The X suggests it's going to be a hardcore band.
Yeah, I think it's
But the fact they're from the England at that time doesn't say it's going to be hardcore to me.
yeah, they do. They've almost got a death metal like logo, but obviously they've got all the humour in terms of. I mean, whoops, sorry, Vicar. I haven't a clue. What is that a reference to a song or what? But yeah, there's that. And looking at the thanks on the actual record inlay, they are thanking a few bands like Extreme Noise Terror and Napalm Death, but I don't think they're as heavy as those. I don't think they play grindcore.
Right.
Put it that way, but we will see when we start listening to this. They do thank Metallica as well.
It's yeah. So hopefully I have a bit of a metal influence to it.
Yeah, so I think it's hardcore punk rather than grindcore. I think.
Well, we'll put it on. We'll find out. And if you are listening to this on Instagram, if you're listening to this on Spotify, you'll notice that it says it was a release in 2012. It wasn't. That's just a re-release with a bunch of live stuff on. We've got the actual LP here.
Yeah,
We're going to
have.
drop the needle on.
Oh, actually, one thing to mention as
Oh.
well, because I think we had to mention it. This has come up before in terms of, should we be talking about these bands, considering like we don't know what they're potentially notable for. They do thank Rolf Harris for inspiration, but
They were different days.
that may be in jest.
Well, yes. We obviously don't align them with any political stances that we don't know what the political stances are going into. I'm sure it'll be okay. I hope it'll be okay.
If not, we just won't release it. We'll just do another album.
Okay, so what's track number 1?
Prophecy, I think.
Prophecy, track number 1. Let's drop the needle. I hope you're enjoying this episode. Looking forward, I'm going to look into getting some sponsors to fill these little gaps here. But just so we're not big fat sellouts living off that corporate teat, if you've got anything you'd like to plug, your band, your podcast, just get in touch with us via the Shrod Pod Instagram and we'll mention it in these little breaks here. And now back to the show. 1, 2, boo, boo.
Yep.
So I'll tell you what I fucking wrote down for that, Matt.
Did you write anything down?
Yes. Just listen to the first track. I wrote down vocal, awful. Drumming, awful. Guitar, not great. Second track, I wrote bass, awful. And then I stopped taking notes and I just waited for the whole thing to be over. That was fucking terrible. That was terrible. Boo. That was so bad. Ugh. I don't know what I was expecting, but I wasn't expecting that.
It's very all over the place.
Oh
I'm not saying I'm gonna give it the benefit of the doubt, but there's some stuff I like about it. Like some of the riffs are quite thrashy and punchy, but it does kind of all descend into one because there's so much going on. And it's not the fact it's a good so much going on like when it's like layered,
Yes,
but it's just lots of very quick thrashy riffs, lots of changes, lots of breakdowns.
so many breakdowns. You don't need more than one. Then you don't really need three, do you? There was fucking three in the last one I counted.
I can't remember what song it was. It was either in No Trust, No Faith or in Comparison that I think you counted 3 breakdowns.
God.
And like, I mean, I do like a good song where it has like a breakdown and then almost starts up at the song again and goes like quicker through stuff, and like I like that. I like the quick thing out of the breakdown. But it happens in like every other song. And it's just, yeah, if you were sort of like the definition of, you know, the book by its cover thing, as like there's so much going on, even starting to look through the lyrics as well, there is so much going on. Like I'm not saying there's not a cohesive message, because some songs there are cohesive messages, but just for example, like Prophecy, the first song. So this is about like the way we're going. This is where we're going to end up.
Okay.
Good concept for a song. But the first 2 verses are slating Jan Lehman, who's a newsreader.
Who was a newsreader.
Was a newsreader, yeah. She was on I'm a Celebrity as well, I think.
Right.
But
it's not her fault. She didn't make the news. She just reads it.
Any other night, calmly she reads the news, reeling off murder and rape with a stony face. Never a twitch, never gave a shit. Now she worries about the state of our nation. So, like, the first 2 verses are really sort of just a bit of a rant at Jan Lehman. Then there's some bits in there, again, quite like, oh, that makes you think of it. Like, you couldn't care about the health service cuts until it's your deathbed, your organs cease, suffer eternal pain, then you'll see red. Like, you know, you don't give a shit now, but you will when you actually need it. And it's like, yeah, I kind of understand that, but that's sort of that's the only prophecy bit I can see. Oh, to be fair, they got some right. A Thatcherized youth, a centralized nation, rich kiddies with khaki Caucasian, which is like, I just remember like the 2000s and like preppy kids walking around with like khaki and blazers and stuff. It's like, oh, they got that right. They got it right. But yeah, it's basic. It's the whole message of that song seems to be, if you carry on being like, as they talk about solidarity with your family, apathy is your sanity. It's like, I'm just looking out for me. But if everyone is like that, and that, you know, it's going to be shit for when we are later down the line. If everyone's just in it for themselves, I get that, but again, it's all over the place. And again, we sort of partway through the song, another rant about Jan Lehman. Are you a Jan? Fucks past total death. Show no remorse for your last breath. Like,
all right, but here's the thing about songs with messages and political context and prophesizing the future through your music and the statement you want to make. You have to be able to understand what you're fucking saying.
Oh, the vocals are very...
Vocals are awful.
I'm trying to think of like how to describe them. It's very that like late 80s punk, like almost slurred.
Yeah.
Bits of John Lydon in there from the Sex Pistols. I'm trying to think. It really reminds me of someone. I can't think of who it is.
It's got that annoying like New York hardcore sound to it from the 80s, but it's bad, and then it's drowned out by the bad music and like the fucking untuned, loud drums.
Oh,
It's just like it's a wall of bad noise.
I don't know what it was. I think it was on No Trust, No Faith, and it's because it starts off with. Is that the one that starts off with the bass and the drums? I think it
The
is.
second one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And like the bass drum's going, and there's a click on the bass drum, and it's like I don't know if the beat is hitting the side of the like rim of the kit or something, but it's like a really obvious click to it, and you can't not hear it.
The kind of thing that if you stumbled across now as a new band, you'd be like, okay, fine, they've recorded it in their living room, they're putting it out there to get people interested in the band. I'm sure once they start touring and if they stay together and record something properly, it'll be different. But in the 80s, that just went to an LP somehow.
It did.
No one signed these people, did they? Like,
yeah, it's on. What's it called?
it's not a big label. This is
Manic Ears Records.
Manic Ears, so it's just like some small local label. Like Bristol must be
Yeah,
big enough
we've got
to have a lot of
we've
money
got the
going
PO
around.
box. We've got the PO box if you want.
Bristol's like a posh place. They can afford to piss money away signing shitty bands to shitty labels. It's just bad. There's nothing redeeming about it.
It's if you want background thrashy riffs.
If you want the nice background noise of garbage.
Oh, it's not good background noise. I never said that. Oh, it's just
pointless. It's just beyond point. Like it's all these different people in the band want to get their shit in, and it doesn't work. It doesn't work.
I think that's fair. We haven't heard a solo yet.
This is why you need a goddamn fucking studio engineer on these things, Jesus.
Although
I am amazed that if these weren't like a bunch of 18-year-old kids that sucked.
Oh, I think they are.
I'd be amazed.
I reckon they are. They are like. I reckon some of them aren't.
It's going to be hard to find information on them, but we'll have a look.
I don't know. One of the songs I do, I won't say but I like Scientific Slaughter. Just because this is one of the ones that has like a cohesive message all the way through. I could probably just read you all the lyrics because it's a minute and a half long or something. So
and all the songs are like 4 minutes long.
Apart from
one of them, yeah. Didn't like that.
Yeah, for punk music, it's a bit. Yeah,
especially hardcore.
I kind of get though they are going down that Napalm Death Extreme Noise Terror route of like we want to have a message. We want to have a message. So commercial whaling supposedly banned, but it's not all just plain sailing. Clever what they did there.
Sailing.
Capitalist bastards inside their law can now go on scientific whaling. Iceland, Japan, and Russia too still kill over their quota. But still, the wads of blood money run in, excess sold to Japanese markets.
He's complaining about the news, and he's just reading a news report in one of his songs.
Killing for science, their catch-22. More loopholed bans for their murder. Where whales disappear, will pay the price. Another imbalance of nature. And it's like,
will we pay the price?
We will when all the whales are gone.
How does that affect the ecosystem?
Oh, it will, because there'll be too much of like smaller fish,
which we can eat.
There'll be too many of them though.
We'll eat them.
No. They'll take over everything and they'll extinct themselves.
And then the crab people will come to power, of course. Yeah.
But yeah, it's just it's got a message there. It's saying like whaling's bad. Whaling's bad. It's overly cruel, and now like as bands come in, like governments are getting round it on the on the excuse that it's for sight. It's so we can study these animals by killing them.
Whatever, but there are bigger things to be pissed off about than whaling.
Well, I'm not. It's the last point. I'll talk about Ruva Well Out of Hand, which there was a few bits in there which were a bit like, Stan, we've talked about this on Motorhead a lot, in terms of religion's bad.
Religion is bad.
Yeah, so that's pretty much the gist of the song. But yeah, some things I like in that. Religious brainwash is now full frontal. Not just the hour on the odd Sunday, down on their knees, headbutting the floor, peeling off the brain to a closed door. Quite like that.
That's pretty good.
Yeah, it's pretty good. I like the image of headbutting the floor and almost leave your brain at the door. You don't think, we tell you what to think. Yeah, quite good. But it's sort of
It
goes on to this anti, because it talks about that as like obviously talking about Christian religion. Fair enough. The odd Sunday, right? Get it. Then they move on to Islam, saying,
"Careful, Icarus."
Well, no, not that, not necessarily that, because again, it's like all religion is bad. Kind of get the message there. Islam don't give a fuck for them. It also doesn't give a fuck for anyone else. That will doesn't achieve any solidarity to someone who strays off the shelf. Basically saying like this really antiquated view of Islam that it's if you're not with us, you're against us. So that's when they take it a bit further, and this is where it gets a bit national action. It may not bother you now, but for yourself in your world, but the children you have, are you going to live a life in their world of pain? And if it, like to me, because that comes straight after the Islam verse, that's almost like, they'll be taken over. They'll be taken. We'll have Sharia law, and you'll be speaking. Like that's kind of what it. And again, it just sort of goes on to talk about the East and the West starting wars, arming nations, all this, and so again, the message is a bit all over the place. It's not really structured in just religion's bad. It's like Christianity's bad, Islam is bad, and then if you do you want to live how they live over there, you'll be in effect like the equivalent of you'll be speaking German if it wasn't for if you don't do something about it, you'll be speaking German like it. I'm not overly keen on that. But yeah, it's just a bit all over the place. It's like they could cut that out and just have it as, if they just went through all of the religions to say, to point out the faults and everything, and then had a cohesive message of think for yourself, don't be
not
brainwashed.
A cohesive album.
Yeah, but it's sort of that bit feels a bit Britain first, a bit national action and everything. So, but again, different times, but still, it's not a million years. Well, it's not even 50 years ago. So yeah.
Anything positive to say?
I mean, some of the riffs are decent. I mean, I like loud, thrashy music.
Generous to say they're decent. They're not shit. At least two of them. They're still bedroom guitar riffs. These are not polished musicians at work here.
One of the things I did like about it, and this is one of the things I'll give them credit for, they could very easily just do verse, chorus, verse, chorus, verse, chorus. So, play the intro, play the verse riff, play the chorus riff, play the verse riff, play the chorus riff, do a breakdown, back to the chorus, finish. But the riffs do change and evolve throughout the song. Like, sometimes the choruses are... It's doing like the slow version, and then they'll up the tempo and everything, and then go there. So it's quite. They've tried to make some of the songs like more complex than the standard sort of 3.5 minute song formula. So like, kudos for giving it a go. But again, it's sort of a bit all over the place. It might work do it for a song, but try and have some case of tradition. Not saying traditional, but if that was spaced out between songs that did have a more traditional structure, it would stand out more. But the problem is, because every song has sort of got this thing where it's all over the place, the tempo is always like 200 BPM or whatever. Everyone's just flying, going as quick as possible, and it's sort of everything's sort of lost because it's just noise. There's no
noise. That's the only thing you need to say about this.
No,
album.
because they've pointed that out. But it's like, if you've got that variety there, and you haven't got to have much variety, but if you've got a bit there, it makes other bits stand out against it. But they've actually put on there's a picture of the band with a speech bubble, and someone saying, exactly, Mrs. Bogdan, they can't even sing, they can't play music, they look awful, and they smell. Yeah. So yeah, are you agreeing with Mrs. Bogdan?
Yeah, I am. I mean, this is the period of history in hardcore and punk where it's like, it doesn't have to be good. Thankfully, we're past that now. Yeah, you need to know what you're doing. I don't think they could make a living today as musicians, and not that many people can. But at the same time, that whole it doesn't have to be good thing, it's just an excuse for not putting the work in.
Yeah.
You didn't make something that was listenable. So what was the point? Whose mind are you going to change? with your whatever your point of view is, because no one who doesn't like that kind of music isn't going to listen to it.
Yeah, good point. I get it. I mean, it is at the time where lots of bands are experimenting with heavier sounds. Like it's the start of like Napalm Death. It's the start of grindcore. It's the start of like these extra like miles heavier than this.
Mm-hmm.
So I kind of get it's during that period of experimentation. I suppose every period is experimentation, trying new things. I just don't think this works. I'm trying to see the positives, but I'm not necessarily going to go back and listen to something.
Well, unfortunately, we have another side to get through.
We do.
Yes. But the only thing that keeps me from cutting my goddamn wrists at the thought of that is that on part 2 of the Shrod Pod, we get to research the band as we're listening to them, so maybe we'll find out some interesting tidbits about them.
Actually, I found here there is their addresses on here.
The home addresses of each of the members.
Not of each of them, but there's the contact number. So
Probably
I won't read them out.
Now. The one from
and
2012 is probably out of service.
There's a contact of the drummer.
Good. I want to have a word with him. Let's all chip in and get him a fucking decent drum kit.
If he still lives there. So yeah, we could. You could even go on Google Maps and have a look at the house.
Maybe we'll do that. It depends how long the songs are on the second side. 5 more songs, is it?
Yeah, I think so.
Right, okay. Side B, track number 1, Think Now. God help us all. I hope you're enjoying this episode. Looking forward, I'm going to look into getting some sponsors to fill these little gaps here. But just so we're not big fat sellouts living off that corporate teat, if you've got anything you'd like to plug, your band, your podcast, just get in touch with us via the Shrod Pod Instagram and we'll mention it in these little breaks here. And now back to the show.
I made too many notes about this.
Rolling.
Who wants to start?
Where do you start with that? I mean, it was more of the same shit. And there was nothing enjoyable to be had there until we got to the last song, which was only like half of a minute and a half.
If you could call it a song.
If you can call any of it a song, man. If you can call any of this music. Oh, Lord. And so, okay, so the research shows that they are a proto-crust punk band.
Yeah,
which has got to be a hard gig because, you know, come to the gigs, buy some albums. Oh, I can't. I live in a ditch, mate. Sorry. That's why you don't have much of a fan base. That's why you've got a .org instead of a .com that's not in use anymore.
I do like crossover thrash, but they aren't DRI, are they?
Apparently not.
They aren't municipal waste.
They are. They're not municipal waste. Municipal waste are fucking boss. Those people know what they're doing. They don't put goddamn 5 breakdowns in a song and then 1 guitar solo in the album, which is fucking awful.
Oh, yeah.
There's no excuse for having a singer in this band. Like, what was he bringing to it? Surely the guitar player's not doing too much work. He could also sing. You don't need a vocalist, a single vocalist doing anything.
The lyrics aren't actually written by the vocalist.
So what's he doing there then? What does he bring to the table? Does he drive the bus?
Sean does the vocals, and he wrote Scientific Slaughter, which was the one about the whales.
Oh, right. That's another thing that's come up. So they were one of the early animal rights bands.
Yeah,
it's good for them, but
yeah, I was gonna. We didn't listen to Facts because
so many of the songs sound the same, people at home, that Spotify put the same song down twice. And I didn't realise the intelligent algorithm of Spotify, wasn't like, oh, hang on, these 2 songs sound the same. They can't be the same, though, because this is an album. Because all the songs sound the same, Spotify.
To be fair, we didn't notice.
I didn't.
The same song.
I was too busy banging my head against the wall, praying for it to be over.
It was until the bass breakdown. I'm like, we've heard this like less than 3 minutes ago. But we only... Because, again, I think that's testament to like how much the songs blend in together because it's all just at the same pace. We only noticed because like the breakdown,
terrible.
The breakdown was so familiar because we'd heard it a few minutes previously. But yeah, Facts is about Oh, again, I don't. Animal rights, but 2,700 drugs induced into animals to fatten them up. You think you're living healthily?
Yes.
Don't smoke or go the pub. The law, of course, doesn't require that. They're listed on the packet. Yeah, sure, it's the democratic way. The bureaucrats wouldn't have it. A chemical reaction takes place when beer, tobacco, wine, and tea digest with preservatives in the meat, causing numerous cancers.
Okay.
You'll see.
So what do we know about this band then? They're actually from Nottingham.
Nottingham, Andy, or Shandy, as they call him.
A lot of members in that
lives
band.
in Dar. And again, I'm not going to... The addresses are on the inlay of the drummer.
The addresses are on the album if you want to bring your complaints to them.
Someone who claims to be the contact but doesn't say who they are. So one of them's Nottingham and the other one's Derby. So yeah, they're there. I did Google map the houses.
So the wiki lists a current lineup.
Oh, the wiki's amazing.
Concrete Sox reformed in 2009 with a new lineup, and after an unsuccessful tour in April 2010, which they cancelled 3 shows, the lineup was disbanded. As of 2012, founding members was working on a new lineup, which included the return of blah 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 blah. After 5 months of getting nowhere, they decided to disband the group for good. So
who wrote that?
I don't know, because the current lineup doesn't make sense then, does it?
But it's just like who wrote that, or like is it a fan or someone who obviously knows them? Is it an ex-band member who said yeah they got nowhere so they like called it a day?
So they gave it a go. You know, this is the thing that fascinated me when I was looking at it. They did do a tour. Well, 2 things fascinated me about it. So the label that's put them out now, Boss Tunage. Yeah, I found their thing, and you can buy you can buy a DVR, not a DVD, a DVR of a HDR recording of one of their gigs, which it says is just one camera shot of the whole thing. So someone's portable camera, I love that. But they did show in Japan, so I was like, oh, they must have got national acclaim and stuff. But it looks like, from the bit I can find, they toured with a Japanese band called Nightmare, not the American or French band called Nightmare. And the tour, which I can only decipher through the tour T-shirt that I found, is 1992, and it was 7 dates. 3 of them were in one location. And there's no information about the other band at all, apart from they were a Japanese hardcore band. So it must have been like a tape trading thing that they got them over there.
They've done like there's members of Heresy and everything. And I think they had a split. EP
Heresy a thing because
they
split off into join that. So if you're in the band Concrete Sox and you're looking back on your career and body of work, are you like, oh, I was one of the crust punk founders, I did some good things, or you're like, oof, that was terrible, I acknowledge that now?
I don't know. I mean, from the sounds of it, they got a Japanese tour out of it.
It's a Japanese tour which was over the course of 1 week, and 3 dates were in one location.
I haven't toured Japan. Like they've done enough to get to Japan. It's like that's a win, surely. I mean, if they're looking back, they might be like,
oh, we could have released in Japan as well. So.
We could have done better, or we could have. But they've been a lot more successful than lots of bands I know and lots of bands I've been.
But this is the thing we were talking about earlier, though, isn't it? Like in the 80s, people were just getting signed. They were just like, oh, this is a new thing. These are kids that play loud punk music. Let's give it a go.
Yeah, but it looks like they've done a lot of this stuff themselves. I mean, the record label's from Bristol, so we don't.
They were just like, okay, you've done all the work. We'll put it out on an LP. If it makes any money, we'll give you another. And it didn't make any money, so they didn't give them another.
They have got a few albums.
2 releases, and then the rest is just stuff that they've put out themselves through Concrete Sox Records, which again, surprisingly, is a .org that you can no longer find.
You can go in the Wayback Machine and have a look at it. There's not much to it. It very much looks like a website from the early 2000s.
But they're putting out this stuff in the 90s. Like, do you think that sound is still relevant in the 90s? Like,
yeah, because
people have just done crossover better at this point.
Yeah, I mean, like there are much better crossover thrash bands, like miles better crossover thrash bands, and there's still like British thrash stuff knocking around at this time, like Eccentrics and everything, who actually like they were really good. But they sort of came across at the tail end of the movement and everything, so never really got anywhere. But this is just, again, like playing fast for the sake of it. Yeah, knock yourself out, but it's just too much, and I think that sums it up. Where we were listening to the same song twice and didn't notice until like I was trying to follow it in the lyrics, and it was like, this doesn't sound right.
It entertains you as the musician, but it doesn't entertain me as the listener. That's a bad idea. The only positive thing that I can say about them is the one of the weird little metal sites I found says they were known for doing covers of songs where they make up their own words. So the last song on the album, Mustache, is actually Metallica's Whiplash. They also did a version of Speak English or Die, which was in Japan, that was renamed to Speak Japanese or Die. They just wanted to co-opt that song from the racist band Speak English or Die.
Do you wanna read out the lyrics to Mustache?
No, you read out the lyrics to Mustache, please.
Late at night, all sanity's gone. It's time to flex your tongue. You're in your dress. We're obsessed. Here's the ballet song. There is a feature on your face that makes you blooming glad.
Blooming glad.
That is brilliant, because I can't remember the original lyric, but it's something about, what is it? I should know this. There's a feeling deep inside that drives you fucking mad, and they've just got, there's a feature on your face that makes you blooming glad. That is like a lyric where you'd like, right, I'm done for the day.
Yeah.
That's
If the whole album was fun metal spoofs, I'd be telling everyone about this band.
Yeah,
they had a sense of humor, but that did not come through in anything else. Even when we read the lyrics to find out what they were saying, it was just doom and gloom, but not intelligent, thought-provoking ponderings. It was just air on the telly shit, because she's always reading the news.
Yeah, it's not really a lot of dark humor there. It's more some Jan Lehman bashing. There was the lyric from the vocalist, because it's the one song he wrote about
Listen, man, it's
go back
not
to it.
Clever. It's not good. It doesn't sound good.
Commercial whaling supposedly banned, but it's not all just plain sailing.
Sailing, whaling, band, sand. I did not enjoy that album, man.
No.
No, not a thing. The last part, maybe, but maybe that's more because I was glad it was the last song.
I mean, it was the one thing we remember from it. I mean, going back,
I'm disappointed because that cover made it look like it was going to be like heavy, like doom riffs or like quick thrash riffs, just fuck the system, 1 2 3 2-minute song done. But it was nothing. It was too long. It was not recorded properly. No one could play their instruments properly. The vocals were fucking awful. Usually I try and be nice on these things just in case one of the guys from the band is still alive and happens to search his band regularly on YouTube and finds this, but I don't have anything nice to say apart from the fact that you did get further than you should have in the music industry. Well done.
Yeah, they had albums and they did tours, so
done.
They did
Fine.
They did a lot more.
But they weren't good albums and they were short tours.
Well, you haven't heard the other albums. You haven't heard
I don't
Suicide.
need to hear the other albums because they'll be exactly the same thing. I guarantee you they will be exactly the same thing. 4-minute songs of shitty drums and bedroom guitar riffs with jog vocals over the front of them.
What do you have to say about the solo?
Fucking awful.
The one thing I didn't get about the solo, it'll be the last point on it. There's a solo in the song called The Dream. The guitars are going at 100 miles an hour, and he's just like picking notes like quite slowly in like comparison to the way it's going, and it's like what is going on?
What is going on is another good thing for this. Usually we do 2 of these recordings in one, but I'm just so upset and angry I couldn't do another album today.
Is that how we're going to end?
No, because how we end all these podcasts is with the question: is it going on the shelf or is it going in the bin?
Is it?
Fucking not even put it in my bin. I'd throw it out the window. It's one of those things like the cover's there that you'd show to people and go like, "Oh, look at this cool cover." But like, I don't even want to have the conversation around this band anymore because it would just upset me to relive this. No, in the bin straight away. Sorry, lads.
Yeah, I'm. As you say, if they'd gone down the route of we'll just do the parody songs,
If it was fun,
They may have been a bit more mileage in it, but
sorry, no.
off this, I haven't got.
I think we need to change our strategy because the only good albums we've picked up are the ones that had like cool covers, like well designed, and a lot of the shit ones we've listened to, we're like, oh, that's shit. Let's have a go at that. We need to look for ones that are actually good.
Okay, this cover did look good. There was a lot going on.
Yeah, it looked good for an 80s cover.
Yeah.
So if you want to listen to us listen to a good album, listen to the Cigar episode. That was good.
Yes, they are very good. I'm desperately trying to catch them on some sort of tour.
But otherwise, join us next month for another episode where I'm probably going to be upset again, aren't I?
I don't know. Well, we may have to get more albums because the two that are left in the pile. If you want something positive to go see next, we might have to get something else.
We're gonna get some more albums. Join us next time on the Shrod Pod, where the catchphrase is yet to be determined.